Welcome to a story about hope, courage, and the unwavering determination of a young woman. Her journey proves that even when life feels impossible, small steps and steadfast belief can slowly transform everything. By the end, you'll see how a single, fragile dream can blossom into an extraordinary life. Her life was simple and repetitive: work, home, rest. She lived in a tiny room on the city's edge where mornings were quiet and big dreams felt out of reach. The people around her focused on daily survival, discussing bills and problems, never hope. Yet inside her, a quiet spark refused to die. In those rare, still moments, she would imagine a different future, one built slowly through her own effort. At night, she gazed at the distant city lights, wondering how others seemed to move forward so easily. Many advised her to be realistic, to accept her circumstances, and stop wishing for more. They believed in safety, not hope. But their words couldn't extinguish the small, steady flame inside her. It was a fragile dream, but it gave meaning to her exhausting, unnoticed days. She protected it silently, knowing that while wishing was the start, her dream would eventually demand something real from her, something that would test her very core. Her world had always been defined by limits. Growing up with financial struggles meant responsibility came before imagination. Dreams were set aside for family needs. While friends moved on to new opportunities and talked of the future, she stayed behind, waiting for a right moment that never seemed to come. Small failures, a rejected application, a missed chance, became her silent companions. They chipped away at her belief, whispering that her efforts were pointless. Social media was a constant reminder of others' successes, making her own path feel slow and full of delay. Doubt often overpowered her hope, especially at night. Maybe dreams were for people with money or luck. Yet a stubborn resistance remained. The thought of completely giving up felt even heavier than the struggle to keep going, pushing her closer to an unavoidable choice. The disappointment of another lost opportunity landed heavier than ever before. Sitting alone that evening, she had a powerful realization. Time was passing, and she was standing still. The safety of waiting had changed nothing. This thought was frightening, but it also sparked something within her. She asked herself the crucial question: what if she actually tried? The answer was uncertain, but the weight of doing nothing suddenly felt unbearable. Fear still whispered its warnings, but a quieter, more determined voice suggested that a small step was better than no step at all. That night, she made a small, private decision. She would begin. This choice didn't change her external world, but everything shifted inside her. Action now felt possible. She promised herself she would try, even if progress was slow. This quiet promise gave her struggle a new direction. The future finally felt connected to her own hands. The beginning was brutally hard. She had imagined excitement, but instead faced heavy, slow days. She woke earlier, worked longer, and ended each day exhausted, questioning if any of it mattered. Mistakes were frequent, and failure was a more common result than success. Frustration was a constant companion, and doubt crept back in, reminding her of the easier, passive life she'd left behind. People around her didn't understand, some even suggesting she was wasting her time. Their words stung, especially on difficult days. Some mornings she felt hopeful, others she felt foolish for chasing an impossible dream. Yet every time she thought of stopping, the feeling of giving up felt worse than failing again. So she persisted, one small, often invisible step at a time. She learned to accept slow progress. Each effort, even the unsuccessful ones, was quietly building her resilience. Without fanfare, her consistency began to create small, almost unnoticed changes. Fear was slowly being replaced by habit and discipline. Change didn't arrive with a bang, but in quiet, small moments. A task completed without overwhelming fear, a problem solved a little faster, a day ending with quiet satisfaction instead of self-doubt. These were tiny wins, but they felt revolutionary. For the first time, her effort was yielding results. A few kind words of encouragement from someone who noticed her persistence stayed with her for days. She began to trust her own process. Mistakes became lessons, not proof of failure. Each small success made the next step feel less daunting. Her confidence grew, built on a foundation of repeated action, not luck. Her internal dialogue shifted. Belief started to answer back when doubt spoke. She no longer wondered if change was possible, but how far she could go. Hope was no longer just a feeling, it was grounded in her own experience. Just as life began to feel stable, everything crumbled. A goal she had worked tirelessly for suddenly vanished, leaving her shocked and devastated. The progress she had fought so hard for now felt fragile and meaningless. Old fears and familiar questions surged back. Had she hoped for too much? Was her earlier progress just temporary luck? Watching others move forward while she felt stuck again was the most painful part. The temptation to give up entirely was overwhelming. Yet, in her lowest moment, she realized that the depth of her pain was a measure of how much she cared. The dream mattered because of who she had become while pursuing it. Instead of asking, "Why did this fail?" she began to ask, "What did this experience teach me?" This question shifted her perspective. The goal was no longer just a destination, it was about the person she was becoming. In the aftermath of the setback, she noticed something surprising. The pain hadn't broken her. She was tired, but she was still standing. She now understood that the act of continuing itself was a form of profound strength. Her definition of success began to change. She stopped waiting for a final, visible reward and started valuing the daily effort. Some days were productive, others slow, and both were now acceptable. Fear became a quiet presence instead of a loud, commanding voice. She learned that true confidence wasn't about winning every time, it was the knowledge that she could endure uncertainty. She also stopped comparing her path to others. The only measure that mattered was her own growth. This shift brought a newfound calm. Effort became its own reward. She no longer needed external encouragement because she could see her own progress. Patience replaced urgency, and her determination felt steady and resilient, preparing her for the next turning point. The opportunity arrived quietly, not as a stroke of luck, but as a natural next step. Months and years of effort had built a foundation, and she was ready. The first challenge wasn't easy, but she faced it with a calm, measured confidence she'd never had before. Fear was present, but it no longer dictated her actions. People who once doubted her now watched with curiosity and offered respect. But the real proof was within herself and how calmly she handled pressure and how clearly she thought. With each task, her dream felt closer, not just in tangible ways, but because she could feel the difference in her own character. This moment wasn't the end of struggle, it was the reward of preparation. It was the alignment of her dream with her actions. She realized that life could be actively shaped, not just hoped for, when persistent effort met readiness. Pausing to look back, the girl she once was felt like a different person, uncertain, hesitant, and afraid to try. But now she saw that difficult past not as a burden, but as an essential part of her story. The nights of doubt, the days of exhaustion, the moments when hope felt too fragile, each struggle had forced her to find hidden strengths. The limitations she once resented had taught her patience. The setbacks had taught her perseverance. Having nothing had forced her to build everything herself from scratch. Her dream hadn't just guided her to a better future, it had fundamentally changed who she was. Pain was no longer a source of shame, but a teacher. She felt gratitude for the hard beginnings, knowing they had forged the courage she carried now. The journey itself had shaped her more than any destination ever could. She now moved through life with a sense of direction and quiet confidence. Challenges still appeared, but she met them with a trust in her own ability to navigate them. The fragile dream had grown strong, nurtured by years of persistence. She understood that a dream is not just a wish, but an invitation to act, to grow, and to become stronger. Fear was no longer a command, but a companion she could listen to without being controlled. The contrast with her former self was remarkable. Where there was once emptiness and uncertainty, there was now purpose and quiet determination. The dream was just the starting point. She had become the force behind her own path, moving forward gently but firmly, carrying hope like a lantern. Her story wasn't about perfection, but about the power of courage and persistence to shape a life full of possibility. And she knew with certainty that her journey was just beginning. Thank you for joining us for this inspiring story. Remember that every small step you take can lead to real change. Life will always have challenges, but persistence, courage, and self-belief will guide you forward. Here at Read and Learn English, we share a new story every day to motivate, inspire, and help you grow. By listening, you not only gain powerful life lessons, but also improve your English skills in a meaningful way. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to join our community of learners. Like and share this video with someone who needs a reminder that their dreams are worth pursuing. Comment below and tell us which part of the story inspired you the most. Every day is a chance to take one more step toward your dream. Keep going, stay patient, and trust your journey. Your story is just beginning.